I'm Lori Clairhout at laurieclairhout.com, and I'm talking with Tania Wojciechowski from mannesmade.com. Hey, Tanya.
Hello.
And I want to know, Tanya, what's a whim to you?
A whim to me is, I really think it's intuition.
Mm.
And it's intuition that for me, it sits fully in my body. It's like this like overwhelming sort of gut, like, "Ugh, you must do this." It like sort of erupts like that. No, it's I feel it very, very physically. So whether it comes from sort of outside energy into my body or whether it comes directly from my body, like from a higher self, which I sort of feel is within my body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just that's where it comes from, and it's like this, like, yep, okay, do this.
And when it happens, that sounds pretty abrupt. It sounds like you know right away.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know the whim's there, you know it's good.
Yeah, and I know it's always good. Like I've never, I don't think, had a sort of hit like that where it's like, go do something bad. It's always like, it's always good. Yeah, but but I think it's, and it's a sort of, here's something that would be amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, I feel like, because sometimes you kind of like, oh, maybe I should go do this, or maybe I feel like doing this, and and you don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
or um, and I think it's okay to get a whim and to not follow through with it. Um, I don't think you have to follow every
Mm-hmm.
single whim that you get. I think and it's okay to just sort of let them go and
Mm-hmm.
not do it if you don't feel like the timing is right or for whatever reason, and just know that you'll get another one at some point.
Mm-hmm. Now, or can you tell us about a time where either might have happened to you. Either the case where you feel a whim, you feel it in your body, it's like, hell yeah, let's go, and you've gone for it, or the other one where a whim comes and you're like, yeah, and then you don't. And what
Hmm.
happens? Yeah. Can you tell about either one or both?
Lots of both.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so a really big one for me was in 2012, I ran a creativity retreat, and I did again in 2014.
Hmm.
And at the time, I was working full time for the government, and I had started an online business, the Man is Made, and I was making handmade goods. And I really thought like the handmade goods would, they did make me very happy, but because I was doing it on top of my work and I was traveling a lot at the time, I was just like jamming my free time full of all this creative time. And I was burning out, and I had been thinking about, I was spending all these hours in my basement till 2 a.m. sewing for craft shows and things like that. And I was like, this isn't as fun as I thought it would be. And I like, are there other people who are like this? And how do they sort of get through it? And what do they do? And so I was traveling at the time for my job and was sitting at a restaurant by myself, reading something on my computer. And I was reading something about somebody who had gone on this retreat. She had just rented a house and invited a few friends, and they use this as this real creative time. And I just thought, oh yeah, and I could feel it in my body. It was just like this, like rising up, and it was just like, and all of a sudden, like tears coming down my face, and like I can feel it now. It's still the same sensation. It's just like everything on me just like completely prickled and
Mm-hmm.
was just like this like overwhelm of sensation. And that's how it feels for me when a whim hits. That's a big one like that. And I got back to the hotel that night and I emailed somebody who I had just briefly met online and had talked to her in a call, like a group coaching session. And I had thought that she was, pretty cool, and we were sort of at a same place, similar place. And I emailed her and I said, "Hey, I've no clue what I'm doing or why I want to do this or what this is, but I think I want to like do a retreat. And do you want to organize it with me?" Not sure I said please. And like 10 minutes later, she wrote back and it was just like, yes, in the email. And like more later. And we were just like, wow, awesome. Now what the hell do we do?
Totally.
And it's just like, and we just did it. We got on a Skype call, and like the following week, we had found a place and booked it and put down a $3,000 deposit on the place. And we're just like, what? What? But it all felt really good and right. And it just felt easy. And yeah, like that's a whim. And I feel like when you can follow something so fully, it's like the courage just sort of comes pre-packaged with it. You don't have to like, oh, this is a great idea. Can I do it? Should I do it? There isn't all this fear built around it. It's just like it's it comes with it, and you can then just do it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that the courage comes pre-packaged
Yeah.
with the whim. I love it.
Yeah, because I think we can get these ideas, and then you can still feel fear or fear around it, but you still have this like pull through it, because a lot of big things that we do are scary, and it doing the retreat was easy, but I mean there was always moments of like, holy crap, what are we doing? Can I do this? Will this happen? But 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 we just kept moving forward. And I think that so sometimes we have these ideas, and then there's just so much fear involved, and you don't take the steps towards it. I don't think those are necessarily whims. They feel like a good idea, but I think they're sort of more tied to ego. And whims have no ego involved at all.
Ah, I love that. I love that. I know I also asked about maybe a time where a whim came and you didn't follow it, even though the courage is packaged in, and there's no ego.
Yeah.
What happens there?
Well, yeah, I have felt various times where it has felt like that same sort of prickly sensation and that same physical sensation. And I feel like, yeah, that's amazing. And I sit with it for a little while. I can sort of think of a couple of examples, and where I've been asked to partner with somebody, like on a business project and that sort of thing. And it just like, yes, this feels so good and I want to do it. And like, yeah, let's, yes. And I don't know, it's something maybe that's a few hours later or even minutes later or a couple of days later where I'm just like, it still makes me feel really good, and I know this is a good thing, but it's not now. Either I'm focused on something else, or I just don't want to fill my time at that moment, or there's just something that holds me back, and it's not a fear. It's just I'm choosing not to take the next steps towards this
Mm-hmm.
because of X, Y, Z. It, whether it's I just want some free time to not do anything right now or whatever it is. And I feel like that's okay to let that go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would be an amazing experience. Or maybe I'll do it later on.
Mm-hmm.
But if in the end I just let it go, it's funny with whims, like I just know another one will come.
I love that. And I love the piece about there is always conscious thought. There is always a decision, because a whim happens doesn't mean that we are now whisked off somewhere and, blown with the wind. um,
Yeah, yeah,
we do have that choice. Yeah, we have a
yeah,
choice in that.
absolutely.
And I love, 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 I love the courage part.
I do too.
I am going to sit with
I
that.
love when I feel like that, and
Yeah.
and I have to remind myself that when I get these sort of ideas and,
Mm-hmm.
sort of like, oh, I should do this or I should do that.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't feel like a whim, it it may not be the best thing for me. It might just end up being really hard. I might have to struggle through a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of uh, feelings of not being focused.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like it just, I really need to remember what those whims feel like because those are the best actions to follow or the best sort of ideas to follow.
Mm, that is so perfect. That is so. I don't know how. I don't know how we could end on any other note. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yay.